To battle, Packmates! And welcome back to another season of Starfleet Command, Orion Pirates Plus Mod. I am, as always, Tirek, and today we are going to begin Season 7 of Orion Pirates Plus Mod as the Lyran Star Empire. We actually fought against these guys, I think, 2 seasons ago in the campaign of the Marak Star League. Well, this time we're going to be playing as the dog people. At least I think they're dogs. They could be some other form of cat, but that's not really important. So, we are, as always, or at least for this season, going to be playing on Commodore, starting in the early era, so that we may go through all 4 eras of combat and see the ships as they come out and how they affect the dynamic. It's the most interesting way of doing things. And as always, we are Tirek. So without further ado, let us begin our new campaign. Lieutenant Commander, we recall the fervor of our first command, and we envy you the great excitement that you feel. You have completed your training and are now ready to lead your crew in a swift and merciless campaign through Lyran space and into the territories beyond it. We salute you. Lay waste to all those who threaten you, and we will increase your prestige. Prestige is the quantity that demonstrates your prowess. Accumulate it. You will expend prestige on repairs and supplies, and as well as on purchases of new, fast-striking vessels. Prestige is the proud coinage that shows everyone how ferocious and cunning you are. Taunt them with your success. Out beyond the colonies are the frontiers that border on hostile space. Beware the Mirak. Those ancient barbarians have begun to threaten us once more. Their repellent customs cannot be allowed to spread into Lyran space. Mark our borders with their steaming blood. Out past the frontier are the unexplored depths of space. Run free here! Let no one's law constrain you in these territories that are beyond law. Only let our allies go in peace, for as long as they remain our allies. And that begins our campaign as the Lyran Star Empire. And we begin in the frigate, the Thundercat, which is quite possibly the most perfect name to begin a frigate, and also has confirmed that we are actually cat people, not dog people. And we begin right here in the heart of Lyran space, and obviously there is only one enemy, the Barbarians, the Mirak. After all, how could it be anything else? We could technically get into a war with the Hydrants, but we've fought the Hydrants before, as the Klingons. We've never fought against the Marak, so that's who we're going to do battle with. We're just going to take a very quick look at our ship. I assume we are just a traditional I was going to say a traditional FF. Yeah, we're purely simple FF. So let's just get a really quick look at the sort of vessel that we are packing. It is a cheetah frigate. Quite like the name. Yes, very much cat people. Armed with 2 disruptors, an expanding sphere generator, 2 phaser 2s, and 4 phaser 3s. So pretty much designed to fight the Marak. And we will explain a little bit. So let us set out, put up underway towards the borders of our space. And our first mission shall be a patrol, where all the great things happen. So, waiting for it. There it goes. Load up. You have been assigned a task, patrolling, blah, blah, blah. And there should be Marak ships. Preparing for attack. Okay, so let's see how fast we can get this bucket of bolts to move. I think we found it. Perhaps not. Systems are at 15 points. What? Huh? So we apparently cannot actually charge and move? Are you kidding me? That can't be right. I guess that is right. Yeah, okay, so our ship is literally so bad that we cannot charge all of our weapons and move. And once the phaser capacitor and once the phaser capacitor is fully charged, that gives us 3 points of power to spend. Because it's a frigate, we spend 0.3 points of power to move, so we can go a speed of 9 after the phaser capacitor is charged. Once the expanding sphere generator is charged, then we get 5.3 points of power. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit interesting. So, for those of you joining us for the first time on the first season ever of watching us play Starfleet Command Orion Pirates, welcome. So, a couple of things to break down. This up here is the phaser capacitor. It charges weapons like these, called phasers. They're the ones with the stars and the lines in them. Phasers are a directed energy weapon. They fire out. There's a percentage chance of them hitting. The closer you are, the more damage you do, and the more accurate they are. We also have disruptors. Long range, reasonably fast-firing weapons that take up 2 points of power apiece and are kind of annoying to deal with. Not particularly powerful, but accurate. So the perfect thing for chasing someone down. And uniquely to the Lyran Star Empire is the expanding sphere generator. This outline we see here around our ship is its current range setting, and we can go 0 for a little tiny one, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, and 3. And that will project a bubble of energy around us that will hopefully protect us. It is technically a force shield in that it will block incoming projectile weapons. However, you can also use it, as the way we're going to use it, as a spaceborne battering ram. Basically, we cloak our ship, well, not cloak, but mask ourselves in this very tight sphere of energy and bash the ship into the enemy. It's very effective if the enemy lets you get on top of them. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. It charges from a capacitor just like a phaser, so it maintains its own capacitor systems. It takes a little while to warm up, but now we're going to charge it up. And unfortunately, it's going to probably shut. There it goes, and now you can see. So what just happened? We fully charged it, we turned it on, and now we got to slow down way fast. Slow down. Oh god, we are quick. We're actually not capable of charging, and we talked about that. But so what ends up happening is the expanding sphere generator cycles on. It takes a little bit to turn on, so make sure you activate it before you actually hit the enemy. And then it creates that bubble. You saw the little sort of squiggly energy field that appeared around us. And then when we rammed into the Merak ship, suddenly there was a big circle that bashed into him. That represented the point of impact against his shields where it landed on him. And yeah, basically we rammed right into him. Crushed his ship against ours. Our ship is designed to be able to take that impact. I assume that the field, we sort of move around inside this field when we actually hit, so as to not rip our ship apart from the forces. And yeah, so the smaller your expanding sphere generator setting is, the more powerful it will be. It will hit with greater force when you actually hit the enemy. So generally you want to keep it, if you want to use it like we're using it as spaceborne battering ram, you want to keep it as tiny as possible, because that way, you know, it'll break stuff. Now, I'm not sure, but I think larger ships may not be able to actually stay inside the generator on the small setting. I could be wrong about that, but I don't... Well, I probably am wrong about that. I can't imagine they would design the ship so that you can't actually mask yourself. And as you can see, we are chasing after this guy. Hopefully we can get to him, but he's pulling away rather quickly. We may not make it. So our expanding sphere generator is on, and if he can keep away from us, then he doesn't have to take any damage. If he does let us... There we go. So we sped way up in order to catch after him, and then smash him in the stern with it. And it dealt... Wow, it dealt a ton of damage, I think. So, oh no, so the expanding sphere generator cut through his stern shield, which I think is 5. So it did 13 damage, which actually is a pretty decent amount of damage. Especially for a ship this small to be dealing out. And then we were able to hit him basically uninterrupted with the rest of our weapons, which did an additional 20 points of damage. That's pretty significant. I think you have missiles, don't you? Well, we know he has missiles, but I think they're ready to shoot at me. No, he used his disruptors. And then some of his phasers. Let's slow way down. Let's let him pass in front of us so that we can use our disruptors. He tried to fire his missiles. We wouldn't let him. So we've opened him up again. Now we're going to pick up some speed. More phaser fire going in. And the expanding sphere generator we're going to kick on right away. And increase speed we're going to catch right up into him and smash him with it. And there we did. 16 damage as it hit. So that's pretty nice, actually. Are we actually reinforcing the right shields? We are not. Reinforce all, please. So yeah, just going to cut in. So this is the traditional matchup. The Merak versus the Lyrids. The Merak have all kinds of missiles, which are terrifying. Because if any one of these hits, it's 12 free damage. Now, it can be more terrifying, because actually those missiles, if you're firing the heavy missiles, which you would generally do in an actual player versus player situation, each of those missiles would deal 24 damage. That's painful. However, we are shooting them all down as they get fired out at us. And then allowing us to plink through at him. He's already lost one of his launchers, so we've managed to break that, and his disruptor. He's down to a single phaser 3 and a single phaser 1. Our shields are mostly holding. We've only taken a little bit of damage. And all our disruptors are still online, despite his best efforts. Let's go forward shield reinforcement to the full power. We're not actually getting any points of power into the shield because we're chugging them all into that expanding sphere generator, which is now ready to rock. So let's kick this sucker on. Light going on again. I don't think he's going to be able to run from us on this. So we shot down his missiles and then broke his ship in half. We did take a little bit of damage and actually broke the expanding sphere generator, which I'm going to assume is probably the most often thing that will break on our ship. That kind of sucks, but I kind of understand it. So, 298 prestige, not bad. We're probably going to have to stop home a lot more often than usual simply because of the nature of the ship. It's designed to basically be smashed against the enemy. So, with that in mind, we're probably going to have a little bit of a difficult time not taking damage in the frigate stage. Just because we have to get right on top of the enemy. Oh god, it's a monster. This is bad. So, all monsters can be dangerous. Fusion cannon monsters are especially dangerous, and that's what he is. We are supported, of course, by the Razor Claw, who is an FF just like us. We have to kill this monster before he can get out of the sector, but that could prove to be a little bit difficult. Because, well, he is a fusion cannon monster. We can tell by his shape. All the monsters have a very unique, distinct shape to them. This one carries fusion cannons, which are an extremely short-range weapon. They're designed to be fired from point-blank range, and they deal an absolutely astonishing amount of damage if you can hit them from the right range. It's the primary weapon, well, one of the primary weapons of the Lyran Star Kingdom, who is also our enemy, who we may run into, especially towards the end of the campaign when the enemy is helpless before our mighty fleet. And they send in assistance to help out. And the only other problem is our main weapon that also deals lots of damage is, well, as you can see, designed to also be at very short range. We could work from a range of 3. That'll actually take most of the teeth out of the fusion cannon. But then we won't be doing a whole heck of a lot of damage. I think we were dealing 16, 17 damage in the last match, just to sort of show how powerful this expanding sphere generator could be. I don't know if Orion Pirates Plus mod adds in like different levels of ESGs. Pardon me. The primary, in the original game, just Orion Pirates, the ESG I do believe is only a single power setting. Or rather, this ESG is the exact same as every other ESG. And so there won't be any stages to it. But they might have different versions of it. I'm not 100% familiar with Starfleet battles, especially not Lyrids. I'm going to be 100% honest, Lyrids never quite interested me in their playstyle. At least in this game, which I've played quite a bit. I've never been a huge fan of this bubble shield smashy into thing. So I may end up playing this much more as a disruptor armed only race. Simply because, well, getting right on top of the enemy to use this thing is painful. Not as painful as it could be, because the Marak fire missiles, and so if you actually get right on top of them, they can't fire missiles. If you get within a range of 0, which can be done in this game. But, normally when I think people who get right on top of someone for an overrun, I think plasma-armed races, which we just left one. And they would deal, 120, 200 damage in a spike. Okay, that's a little bit beyond. Actually, yeah, 200 damage would be 2 S-types, 2 Rs, and 2 Fs would be 200 damage. He's fired his weapon from maximum range. We weren't reinforcing the forward shield, which probably a mistake. In fact, we know it was a mistake. He's armed with 4 fusion cannons, which is pretty significant. Let us kick on the ESG. We're going to ram into him, smash this sucker right on top of him, fire all our weapons because there's no reason to hold it, and we did 58 damage. Wow. That's actually pretty impressive. 58 damage from a frigate. Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with that. You could potentially do more with, like, a Federation plasma frigate, which only shows up in the advanced era. But that's pretty considerable. The Marak frigate could have done that if he had fired both of his missiles and was using heavy missiles. So there is that. Unfortunately, I think I'm about to get shot at again. That's not good. We don't have great shields, and we are very, very close. Let's see if we can't past him. Past him, yes. Get past him so he doesn't have an arc on us. We've managed to take out one of his beams, so there is that as a positive. How big are the arcs on those phaser 3s? Oh, it's a half arc, I'm betting. Yeah, full half arc. So at this point, we're just blinking away. Oh, crap, no, we didn't want to do that. So we've activated the ESG. Unfortunately, because we're not in attacking position, it's useless. So we gotta do this. Just charge right into it. Ow! He fired and hurt badly. We did manage to get a hit into him. I couldn't fire the disruptors because, you know, we were too close to the front of him, and disruptors have splashback damage, which would have hurt us. Not ideal if you want to, you know, survive against the enemy. We didn't lose any systems, so there is that as a plus side. Well, okay, we lost a single phaser 3, but that's not huge. And he's basically dead. He's lost both of his fusion beam projectors. There were 2 hard points on each, so he can fly around at pretty high speeds, but he ain't getting away. We've basically won this. So I'm quite happy about that, actually. Free victories for all involved. So we'll just keep blinking away. Oh, he's actually a little bit farther than I thought. You gotta remember, these are phaser 2s. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7... Technically 8 phasers in this game. The 3 most common are the phaser 1, 2, and 3. The phaser 1 is the most powerful of the normal shipborne phasers, arguably. And feeds off this phaser capacitor. So the phaser 1, 2... Yeah, the phaser 1, 2, and 3 all feed off of this phaser capacitor. The phaser 1 deals a decent amount of damage at decent range. It can get quite powerful if you're point-blank range. I think almost 10 damage, which on a weapon that only takes 1 point of power, technically, from the phaser capacitor, is quite impressive. The phaser 2 is basically a phaser 1, except chop the accuracy and a little bit less damage. It's basically the old style of phaser that was used as the primary armament, and is now just a remnant left over. Races like the Lyrids, the Marak, the Klingons make use of them because they're not quite as technically proficient. Seriously? That was a dick move. He beamed a transporter mine onto him, and we were still within the blast radius when it went off. Dick move. The Phaser 2 is basically a less advanced, less difficult to produce and maintain Phaser 1. The Phaser 3 is a point defense phaser. It's designed to basically shoot down missiles, and that's what it does quite well. We have 4 of them on this ship because the Lyrids are so used to fighting the Marak, and the Marak use a lot of missiles. Then there's the Phaser G, invented by the Hydrons down to our galactic south. It is a very nice phaser. It fires 4 times. It's basically 4 Phaser 3s wrapped up into one, and is hilariously strong. Shipyard, how are we doing? We're going to need 1,800 for a command cruiser, a Bengal Tiger command cruiser. It is equipped with 2 ESGs, 4 disruptors, and a whole bunch of phasers. Is that really what we want? I think so. Right now we're at 700. We could technically buy a destroyer. Not that we're going to buy a destroyer. And 855 would be if we wanted to get a light cruiser. But again, we don't want a light cruiser. We want something big, powerful, strong that will really make a statement, which is generally a command cruiser. So we'll keep sort of skulking around in our own territory. We don't want to get too aggressive. We do want to a certain extent, stay smart and conservative, because losing frigates early on really sucks. Okay, so we are investigating vital rocks. Hit the red alert. Escorted today by the Soul Eater, who is quite decently well armed. I like that. And we're fighting against a freighter. Perfect! This is exactly what we are designed to fight. Not exactly, but you get the idea. So, the early era frigates, we shouldn't be taking on light cruisers, heavy cruisers, battleships, you know, the horrific stuff. We should really be fighting other frigates and freighters. Unfortunately, in most of our games, we've run into considerable, I suppose, opposition early game, to the point where it's quite painful to try and fight these people. But looks like first episode of this one is going to actually turn out quite nice, unless the third one pops up, which could. This light cruiser over here, the ship that is escorting us, is actually pretty decently equipped. It should be able to help us out pretty nicely. And you are equipped with a fusion beam and a single missile launcher, so you're really not that much of a threat to me. You kind of are, because the fusion beam you're going to want to play at the exact same range that I want to play at, and I would prefer that you don't. But the missile launcher, it's a singleton, we'll be able to handle it no problem. 3 Phaser 1s is actually pretty significant firepower. That's actually like really nice to have. So let's throw in a whole bunch of power into the forward shield. Yeah, actually, that makes me the most nervous out of his entire armament. Our single wild wheel is array, just in case. If he dumps a scatter pack, we'll be able to fall back on it. Let's set up our weapon hardpoints. So we're setting 1 to be our disruptors, 2 to be all the phasers, and 3 will of course be the expanding sphere generator. We're gonna basically try and smash this thing right into him. Charge it up, full power. Oh crap, we used the wrong size. It's going to be too big. And we're gonna bring this down in size and fire all weapons. Thank you! Firing all weapons. He took that opportunity, however, to fire a missile into our face, which did get through, and that kind of sucked. However, it does look like we've got him on the run a bit. He's maintaining a speed of 13.8. We are maintaining a speed of 14, so we'll be able to basically keep up with him and chase him down. So we're lined up, and we'll start laying into his stern. Now, that missile launcher will cycle every single turn, and is fully capable of, well, basically ruining our day. It'll fire in 360-degree arc. He doesn't care about that. However, we should be able to destroy him. Whew. Grab that just in time. Turn that off, increase speed. Now we're going to chase after him. And we're going to get the expanding super generator involved in this. You're not going to save yourself. This is a point-blank range smash. And smash. Got through the shield, dealt a decent amount of damage. Struck at him with a phaser. And still haven't taken that missile launcher offline, but it does look like it's empty, because it ain't recharging or reloading or nothing. So early era missiles, you don't get a lot of them. And we managed to basically absorb all that into our shields. I'm pretty surprised. Come on, let's kill our guy so that he doesn't have to. That would really be kind of embarrassing, actually, if he had to kill our guy. So come on, let's turn on in and finish this off. And that way we can say we were equal partners in this battle. There we go. Wow, he was armed with plasma torpedoes. I didn't notice that. I only saw the missile launchers. So there's a mission complete. But yeah, this is the basic idea of how we will be doing things as we get in close, so we can smash them with the battering ram, or if we're fighting a particularly heavily armed missile launcher enemy, we can set up the defensive shield around us and use it purely for the defensive. We do have a somewhat decent other armament. But that's going to wrap it up for the first episode. We got 1,001 prestige. So 1,000 prestige in the first episode without losing our ship. That's pretty good. So the Thundercat serving us well. And we will continue and crush the Barbarians that are the Mirak Star League. At least that's the plan anyway. Anyway, I've been Tarek. If you like what you've been seeing, hit that like button and subscribe. If you want to receive a notification every time I release one of these videos, press that little bell icon. Tell me, what do you think our plans for this campaign should be? Should we just cut right through the center and then smash either side? Or sort of where should we focus our efforts? What do you think about now finally playing as the other cat people? Were you secretly watching the Mirak campaign and saying, I wish we were Lyrids? Or are you now cringing that we are now having to play as the Lyrids against the glorious Mirak Star League? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anyway, I will see you all in the next episode.